are now listening to Thinking Out Loud with your hosts, Jay-Lip and J.Rhodes.
Thinking Out Loud, we back at it, man. It's your boy Jay-Lip and my co-host, J.Rhodes. J.Rhodes, welcome back to the building.
Oh yeah, what's good, people?
All right, then, and we got the Honorable Mr. Levi.
What's good? Let's get it in.
We are blessed this evening to have one of the brethren of the panel to come through and show love, Mr. AP. AP, what's good?
What's up, man? Bless up, bless up.
Yes, sir. I want to tell everybody out there that we have had discussions in the past, in the background, and all that other stuff about the topics that we want to go through for this week. But AP, the brethren, the panel member, has had some grievances with some of the thoughts that I've had in the past, and I want to give him an opportunity to address me directly. So, with that being said, AP, you know how I feel about Chicago, and to reiterate, I basically said, Trump said, send the troops in. You come from a different perspective. Help me understand why you disagree with what my point is.
I mean, my whole disagreement with it is this is a situation that white America, the racist system has created. You know, they stripped the jobs, they stripped down the education in that area, and they forced them to one specific area, and they just expected it, you know, life to be okie dokie. Black's supposed to just, all right, you know, we be best friends. You know, there's nothing in that area, so they have to fight over the resources that are there. And I'm not saying that it's right, and I don't condone any of that violence, but that's a situation that the system has created.
Okay, so the system created a bad situation. How do we fix it?
I mean, you do the opposite of what they have already created. I mean, you give more jobs. I shouldn't have to sell drugs to feed my family, where there are jobs. And I'm not saying no McDonald's jobs, no Subway. I'm talking about some high-paying jobs. A lot of the factories, they have closed them down. Those are good mid-range income jobs. You should be able to get those back. You know, you should be able to get more education, where you got kids that are influenced by the gang leaders in the area. So, of course, they are in gangs, but they have to go to the same schools in one area. There should be multiple schools open in that area. Those are some intermediate things that we can do, you know, in the interim.
I'm with you on all of that. What exactly can we do to get those kids into those environments where they can feel safe without joining those gangs and without joining those corruptions of the society that pull them away from being basically assets to the growth of the community?
I mean, once you start those basic things, and then you start on the other side of the ball with the cops that are already there, you give them more training, more accountability on their side, and, you know, the gang leaders and those, they need to take accountability for the actions that they take as well. But once you start doing those things, people will start feeling more safer, and you can take out a lot of corruption in that area.
Now, to be completely transparent, AP, you said you do have family that's out there, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you speaking from a personal experience of knowing people who are living through the adversity going on in Chicago, correct?
Right. I mean, and I feel them just because of the area that I've grown up in. Detroit is not too dissimilar from the Chicago, you know, how it is in Chicago.
Okay, so with that being said, if I were to ask you what would be the result of Trump sending in the troops to, and when I say Trump sending in the troops, that's an ambiguous statement. It's like saying the president's going to send the guns in. Like, if I were to tell you Trump is saying we need to send the Federal Reserve into Chicago to arm every corner of the hood, South Side specifically, in your opinion, what result would that have that you would not want to see?
I don't want there to be an all-out war. I mean, we've seen the pictures, we've seen the videos of the glorification of the guns. Those aren't fake guns. And for you to have armed guards or armed police officers on every single corner, and there's already a distrust there, I don't think there'll be a pretty situation. You know, I think people will feel less safe with that going on than if they figure out some internal way to resolve it.
Well said, brother.
All right, so since you have an opinion, obviously, Rhodes, if you could piggyback off of what AP said, what would you not want to see happen with the troops? Because I'm trying to understand what the fear is of what Trump's proposal is. So what's the worst case that you see?
Well, I think that something that AP said, that he has a personal connection to the people. I think it's very easy for people like you and people who are looking at it from a distance, like, oh, they're not valuing life, send the troops in. But like I said, you don't want to be policed and governed by these strangers with guns. That does not make you feel safer. So like you said, you're taking the distrust or you're taking the issues in the community and you're projecting it on these outside entities which were sent by the government. Does anybody think Trump has their best interests in mind? No. So why are these people going to help us? They didn't care when all this red line segregation was being perpetuated for 60 years in Chicago, maybe longer than that. I mean, I'm saying, so this is not an answer.
All right, well, I cannot refute that. So y'all both have given pretty valid arguments as far as why Trump sending the troops wouldn't be an answer. I want to know, what can we do right now to uplift the community around Chicago, not Chicago in itself, because AP made a good point. He said even in Detroit it's the same issue. What can we do holistically in the nation as far as the black community to uplift our people, and what can we do actively, behaviorally, to change what our status quo is?
That's a good question. There has to be some kind of outside presence to talk to the government heads, our leaders, our black leaders. Those are the ones that are going to have to go to Trump or go to somebody to speak for us and let them know that this isn't the right thing to do. This isn't the thing we need to do. We need to invest more into education and jobs more than more military presence.
Do we have black leaders though?
We do. I mean, we have some, and they're fighting for their jobs right now. Now that there's a Republican head there.
No, I mean,
but we do have some.
Do we have black leaders? Meaning, can you name 3 black leaders that we have right now?
No, I mean, there are some grassroots guys, but I can't, I don't know their names personally.
You don't consider Michael Eric Dyson a black leader? I mean,
I do.
Yeah.
I consider them, I consider him a black leader, but other than, the main guys that they're always mentioned, I don't know any other people.
Yeah, I guess my concern is we say that we want to rely on black leaders, but we really don't have any we can name right now. Like Michael Eric Dyson, great dude. Follow him, listen to his word. Great product that he delivers to the people for us to take and for us to build a foundation around. But do we really have enough leadership in the black community for us to uplift ourselves? Because I feel like we're getting to a point where it's not about we waiting for an opportunity from the other culture or the other ethnicities to give us a chance. We have to make the chance for ourselves. So with Chicago, I struggle with that. Same thing with Detroit too. And I'm not removed enough from Detroit to say that I don't understand the struggle. But at a certain point, we got to say, what do we need to do to change the generational curse that's here right now, where we're struggling, we're dying, we're dying.
Yeah, well, we are, and I agree with you. I mean, there has to be accountability on our sides. I mean, we're always looking for whites to accept us. Stop looking at it so violent. But at the end of it, we're still doing those violent things. So we have to stop looking so much for acceptance and start owning our problems.
You know what? There's something you just said that just kind of jumped out at me. And you said, we got to stop looking at whites to accept us. Do you feel like right now, as a culture, we are a black people who look for white acceptance?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of in my opinion, that's kind of the meaning between, Black Lives Matter and other movements. We're saying that, yeah, our lives matter as much as yours. They don't think that. They never have. I'm not going to say they never will, but we got to stop looking for that. We got to start just doing what we need to do. We need to start improving our situation ourselves. We need to stop looking for a handout or help or anything like that. We just need to hold ourselves accountable, hold our brothers and our sisters accountable.
Absolutely. And like I said, I want to disagree with both of y'all because there's plenty of black leaders. And I said this 2 episodes ago. There are plenty of black leaders. The problem is everyone is so polarizing, or people have their own preference that we don't acknowledge them. Al Sharpton's a black leader. Cornel West is a black leader. Michael Eric Dyson.
Okay, so let me.
So there's plenty of people who the brother Polite. Plenty of people you can listen to and follow, but that doesn't mean that they're the one leader, the Martin Luther King or whatever. I mean, you pick and choose who you want to listen to and take away what you can from them. But at the end of the day, like you guys said, you got to hold yourself accountable and hold people in your community responsible.
Name the 3 people you named as black leaders one more time.
I said Al Sharpton.
Okay. wrong. Al Sharpton has been found guilty of misleading people on the preface of racial injustice, where he admittedly lied about the rape and misconduct of an individual female by white people. And he basically, in that regard, he lost his credibility as far as being an authentic black leader. So, who's the next person?
No. So now we okay, critiquing authentic. Okay. What about Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Okay, Minister Louis Farrakhan has openly said that there will come a time where we need to rise up and take arms against all white people. So that's to what Levi spoke about in previous episodes. That's exclusionary. That's saying that we need to.
But go back to what AP said. Why we fighting for acceptance? I think that is the quintessential point of his whole message of we've been trying to integrate with them and they have not accepted us completely. So what we should get away from them.
But there's a difference between get away from and eliminate.
Well, he doesn't necessarily say eliminate. He said we need to take what we deserve. No. Necessary.
Rhodes, are you saying right now that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has never insinuated that we need to eliminate white people?
I would never say never. However, his most recent.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Hold on. But you trying to condemn a man based off one point of view and an extreme point of view he may have had 20 years ago, as opposed to his message now, and he doesn't say that now.
Okay, so how do the masses distinguish between the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that they hear now or the recordings that they hear on YouTube where it gasses them up to believe that this is the message we need to follow and we need to execute on this task?
Well, first of all, I really don't like the way you trying to characterize them, but
I don't care what you like. Just tell me how you feel.
At the end of the day, though, if you are not getting justice and you feel your life is threatened, and obviously this political justice system has failed black people of color for centuries, if you feel the need to protect yourself, absolutely 100%, I agree with Mr. Farrakhan and Malcolm X for that matter too.
AP brought it back home with the taking personal accountability, but I do believe there are black leaders, to add on to J-Rhodes' point, other black leaders, and this is not necessarily leaders that have to quote unquote unite the black community. These are leaders that are black. People that he mentioned, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. We talked about Dr. Boris Watkins. We talked Barack Obama. We have Jay-Z. We have LeBron James. We have plenty of people that have given millions of dollars, sent kids back to schools, created scholarship funds, things like that. And the best way to go about solving this, in my personal opinion, is kind of each one of us do what we can to give our part back. Like, I can't fix it for the black community. None of us alone can, or even all four of us put together can't fix it for the whole community. But what we can do is I can mentor young black kids. You might have AP, you got a little business. Maybe you get to the point where you hire another black person and then teach them.
AP, he said your business wasn't shit. He said you got a little business.
No, I mean, I ain't mean it like that. So, anyways, instigating nigga. Anyways, J-Rhodes, you do film. Maybe you teach somebody film. But we all have our ways in which we can give back and play our part in order to uplift one another. That don't mean we necessarily have to exclude ourselves from white society. But however, there is something to be said about unifying and coming together as well.
Okay.
So it's just a balance of all of them.
And I'm with that. I guess coming back to what AP's original point was, if we kind of transcend that whole belief system in us kind of coming together, pulling ourselves up, how do we combat the problem that we face daily as a culture of the industrial judicial complex, which is how we are convicted of crimes and sentenced to penalties that are far greater than that of our counterparts of different races? And so what I mean by that is, most recently, one of the brethren of the panel, the Honorable Rob D., had brought to my attention that there was an issue with a Kwasan Turner. Kwasan Turner was killed by a drunk driver who had multiple convictions as far as being addicted and having issues with drugs, suspended licenses, having had issues that would be the rap sheet of a black person that would have them in the penitentiary for a lifetime. This person was given probation because they were under the influence. So they took the life of a young black man. And again, I don't ever want to forget the name Kwasan Turner, 16 years old, was killed by a drunk driver, a driver under the influence, and was given probation instead of a 20-year sentence that was just due. Why do we feel, or rather, not why, but how do we overcome the grievances that the system we live in clearly has shown us it's not in our favor?
I mean, we know the system is stacked against us. A few stats out there, we're going to be, we have 20% longer sentences than our white counterparts. Is this designed for us to fail? But I think going back to my point where we hold each other more accountable, where I can tell my brother, I don't think you should do that, tell my sister, it ain't worth it. These are the things we need to do more of. Some of the stats are black males on average, we have 20% longer sentences than those that, that are white or even that are Asian. The system is just stacked against us so much to the point that I think we need to hold each other more accountable. Hold our brothers and our sisters more accountable.
More accountable because the judicial system is not holding non-blacks accountable.
No, they're not. 65% of prisoners that are serving non-violent sentences, they're sentencing them to life without parole. It's a non-violent offense, and you're getting life without parole. Like how does that even make sense?
Okay, so to play devil's advocate, to your point, AP, and I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate, the counter argument is why did this system exist to begin with? People use the numbers and they say that even though disproportionately black people are incarcerated at a higher rate rather than white people or other races, but they say that we commit disproportionately a percentage higher of crimes more than the other culture. So how do you defend against that point? If I was to be the lawyer to tell you, you know what, and I hate to be crass about it, but if I was to say this was just another nigga that got killed, how would you defend that if I was to say that was just another black young teen that got killed? Even outside of Chicago, we should punish people for the reason why the people are getting killed, even though there are people within the community who are killing each other. How do you defend against that?
Black on black crime is not real statistic. You still have white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, and those are real statistics. You can't just single out black people and say that our crimes against each other are way more than everybody else's. That's just not true.
Let's bring it back though to the main point was that non-whites are being penalized less or being judged more fairly than blacks are. Did you guys see that the tape for the Mike Brown video came out?
But who's to say it was fair though?
Well, clearly, if this lady who has had her license suspended 5 times killed a 16-year-old and got probation, is that fair? Is that justice to you?
No, it's not justice to me, but I'm saying, how do we allow this to happen? If it's such a grievance, why does it continue to happen?
Well, I think we just saw that firsthand with Hillary Clinton apologizing for all 8 months of her campaign about that damn act her and her husband signed 20 years ago.
Okay, that's one. What else? I mean, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but an apology doesn't bring back the lives of a Michael Brown, a Trayvon Martin, a Philando Castile. Like the apology doesn't bring back the fact that our judicial system has, well, honestly, our judicial system and our law enforcement system in the American society has not apologized enough to bring back the spirit and the bodies of those who have fell victim to the misjudgment and the mistreatment and, quite honestly, the discrimination against people of color. That's my opinion. So how do we change that if that's the status quo?
I think it goes back to the way black people are perceived. At first, my initial thought was we didn't have enough representation in the judicial system, but that's not true. The representation of black judges in the judicial system mirrors the black population both at about 12% of the U.S. We speaking up about it, those sorts of things. We've been doing that for 20, 30, 40 years since the civil rights era. Hasn't really moved the needle any. Hence Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, other people like that, where justice hasn't really been served. The only solution we got now is just basically I would say compared to other minorities, it's the image of the black man or the black people in general. especially the black man. Just the image that we portray, the image that's given off as quote unquote thugs, gangbangers, things like that.
Niggas.
Basically, yeah. So with changing, no other culture has that type of image of quote unquote, like that negative image. So naturally, that subconsciously probably factors in the people's head when they're giving out sentences. So to change that, you have to change the imagery.
Okay, so we changed the imagery by doing what?
Getting lighter, stop wearing black hoodies.
See, okay.
Keeping our haircut.
See,
I'm joking, but this is why people are intimidated by black people.
And I agree with you, and I'm 100% in agreement with you. But my problem with that is you're asking us to change who we are to conform, and quite frankly, to bring it back to Martin Luther King, to assimilate into a burning house. You're asking us to assimilate into a burning house. We're being asked to cut our hair, keep it short so that we can see who you are. We can recognize your facial features. Don't wear no black hoodies because that gives us the impression that you're up to no good. Don't be out at night because we know if you're out at night, you're up to no good. There's nothing for you out on these streets. Like, where do we draw the line and say that as a people, I have a right to, 1, grow my hair out, 2, wear a black hoodie, and 3, be out whenever I damn well please because I am a human being.
Good point.
Yeah.
I would think even those are all valid points. The comeback that I was thinking more of the angle, though, white people may say, what about the culture, the music, that sort of thing? Music about killing our women.
White people buy more of our music than we do. That's a fact.
Right. And the sad part is we're the one, they buy more of our stuff where we're talking about the degrading things that goes on within our community.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember the last time a white rapper got shot at 100 times in a bulletproof car.
Right. But I can tell you that when I was at Michigan State and I went to the Lil Wayne concert, I can tell you that 90% of the audience was white. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Have you listened to any of the lyrics in heavy metal? They're still pretty violent. If you want to say our music is violent, it perpetuates violence, then you got to speak about, hard, very hardcore rock. Some of the lyrics are very disturbing. It's not fair to judge our book differently from then your book. And, I don't think music is, I don't think a change in our music is going to change anything. I don't think a change in our image is going to change anything. I mean, every black man in America could wear suits, have our hair cut and lined up, shoes shine, and things still gonna be the same. I mean, at the end of the day.
I agree with you. And I'm gonna pull it back to this one final topic that I've been waiting for so long to get you on here, AP, for this. I personally am an avid believer in a book that I read recommended by my brother Levi, the Honorable Mr. Levi, the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, where he goes through the baby steps of how to be debt free and how to eliminate all credit from your life, live a cash life, credit free. Don't worry about what your credit score is. Your credit score could be 0. Don't nobody give a damn. Just you can be great with that. And I want to talk to you about that right now. You disagree with me on that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and some, I want to say before, we get into it that,
we already in it. We in it now. Say what you got to say. We in it now.
I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I just want to say, the rules of credit, I still think are unfair. I think that it's another stopgap for a lot of Americans. But credit is important. I mean, it's important. I mean,
why?
Let's look at just your basic applying for a job. So you already know that as a black or a minority, if you have an ethnic sounding name, you're not going to get that job. Or, they're going to put your resume to the side. Now, 7 out of 10 jobs now are checking your credit. So now if you got an ethnic sounding name with bad credit, now you're not getting the job. So you should have at least decent credit so you can get a job. If you actually have to use your credit.
So just to be clear, you're saying that there are people who are employers who are looking at your credit score and hiring upon what your credit score is.
Yes, and it makes sense to the point where, okay, you got bad credit, so that means you don't pay your bills. That means you're probably going to be, it's trending toward that you'll probably be late for this job. You may not be able to do the job correctly. You may miss things, and a person with good credit.
So one thing you just said before you go ahead and talk about the good credit, you said that if you have bad credit, it's an indication that you're mishandling money. I disagree with that.
It could. No, I said it could be.
Okay.
That's what credit is. It's not black and white, yes or no. It's an indicator. Like, okay, this person he may be good, or the bad credit is like, oh, no, I'm not taking a chance on it.
Okay, so if we're saying that, take me for example. I came up Michigan State. I'm a proud graduate, but during my experience at Michigan State, I signed up for every credit card I could because they were giving away free Frisbees, keychains, free video game rentals, whatever the case may be. I was uneducated as far as what the impact of credit was on my life. So I signed up for a lot of credit cards. I used the credit cards to the max, and I ended up having to pay a certain penalty for misuse of credit. In my opinion,
is that the creditor's fault, or is that is that your fault? Whose fault is that?
Okay, well, if we're going to be honest about it, to me, that's a manipulation on the creditors for preying on the people who they feel like are the weakest. So you don't see people...
They didn't say like you have to sign up for this card. No, that's not a praying. Praying is something totally different than that.
But to say that you're preying on someone means
they don't have any.
But to prey on somebody,
predatory. It's not. Traditionally, when you hear good credit, you're like, oh, you got good credit. It's more traditionally thought of as a white thing.
Right,
he has good credit. He got white boy credit.
But okay,
that's a saying. That is a saying.
And
he got white credit.
You asked whose fault was that? If I am a young, impressionable student and someone is offering me to say that I can give you a credit line of $1,000, and given your circumstance, which is mine, I need to buy books. That's $500. I need to pay for food, boarding, whatever. Let's say that's another $500 just for that time being. I take advantage of that opportunity. That is predatory lending because you're not giving me the full disclosure of what the responsibilities and the requirements are to adhere to the basically closure of that agreement.
So going in, you knew that people were giving you money. You didn't know you had to pay it back.
They weren't giving me money. They were giving me the opportunity to have a credit line, which means I can use the money at my discretion.
How are you going to pay how are you going to pay for those books if you didn't use that credit line?
I wouldn't have had the books. Wait, hold on. What was that, Rhodes?
I'm laughing. Go ahead. He asking you a question.
I'm saying if I didn't have the credit to pay for the books, I don't going to pay for the books. I don't want to say on air what I would have did to get the books. All I'm saying is,
you would have did something maybe illegal or unethical.
I would have had to get the books by any means that I needed to get them because at the end of the day, all of us coming from an institution, all of us knowing what it takes to survive in a collegiate environment, you have to get certain resources. So when
or the streets of Chicago.
Exactly. Your student loan is credit.
Right. I agree.
You have to pay that back. The credit card is the same, and you have to pay that back. It's black and white. You have to pay it back. Like, it's no predatory thing. Like, you had to get those books. You're either going to get it one way or the other. You chose the other. So you had to pay it back.
So how can you give, so when they're standing outside on a booth and saying, as you walk by, let's say Grand River Avenue, and you're walking by and they say, we got a credit card for you. You sign up for this. We'll take care of your credit and we'll get you decent. Here you go, a keychain and a Frisbee. How can you say for an unsuspecting, unknowledgeable, completely ignorant youth, 17, 18-year-old person, that's not predatory? I don't understand how you can legitimize that.
They're not holding a gun to your head and say, hey, I know you need these books. So if you're going, or you're not going to get your books. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, hey, we got a line of credit. You can take advantage of it. Yes or no?
Yeah, I get that. But Well, you know what? I'm going to save it for the next episode. For right now, I'm going to thank y'all for listening first and foremost. Thank you, my co-host, J-Rhodes, obviously the Honorable Mr. Levi, and of course the featured guest tonight, AP. I appreciate all the knowledge that was dropped, and I'm going to get back with you next week, next Friday at noon. Tune in. We're going to continue to dive in on this conversation. We love y'all. Thinking Out Loud. Y'all.
This episode of Thinking Out Loud was executive produced by Jay-Lip. Music provided by Daisy Smith. Artwork and logo provided by Rob D. And sponsored by you, the people. We thank you for listening.